meant to bring something up. This totally should have been on the top of the show. But first of all, sorry the beginning was so weird.
It was weird.
Listen.
Kind of self-conscious.
We're rusty.
I know. What if someone just listened? It was like, I don't want to fucking listen to these two guys just bring up random things.
Should we just cut it out?
Minutes.
Should we just cut it out and make this the top
I don't
part
know.
of the show? I kind of just want to do that just for the joke of it. Like, I want people to be like, what are they talking about?
You think I'm going to fucking say no to that? I love that idea.
I think it's hilarious.
We've already done the intro to this show.
We have already done
it's
30
so
minutes.
Bad. It's so bad. We're starting over.
But we're not going to do the shoot the shit.
We're not going to do shoot the shit?
I mean, maybe here at the top, I can tell you what I was going to
We can weave it in. We could just... Every time we bring up a new segment.
Just listen. This will go perfectly. First of all, one of the reasons that the top of the show was so weird, if I'm being completely honest, we haven't seen each other. We haven't even talked to each other that much for an entire week. And normally I would be thinking about what I did this past week, some, funny anecdotes to bring up. I don't remember what happened this past week. I know like major things, but I kind of just went to fucking work and came home and looked at my stupid dogs, and that was it. Kayla and I argued about cleaning and laundry and this and that.
That sucks.
I
can always tell when you guys are arguing about cleaning and laundry.
Why?
Because when I walk in and it's not cleaned.
That's not an indication at all.
I know.
But yeah, I don't remember anything because I have CTE.
When I see hair on the toilet seat, I know that it hasn't been cleaned.
Well, yeah, that's most times. Anyways, so can I talk to you about Patagonia real quick?
No.
Well, I'm going to talk to you about it. So I've never once gave a shit about Patagonia.
Okay.
Ever. And then I saw Frank Ocean wearing some, and of course I said to myself, I kind of like to have some Patagonia. Patagonia is very expensive. It's very expensive clothing. And my mother went to Florida, and I was having a bad week the other week. Not necessarily a bad week. At my day job, I was having some shit going on. And she got me some Patagonia stuff for Valentine's Day. It's nice stuff. I like it. It's expensive, though. The problem was she got me a t-shirt, and the t-shirt's very nice. I would like more t-shirts, but they're like $40 fucking for t-shirts.
For Valentine's Day, my mother placed a Reese's cup.
We know you
in
told
my
us.
desk chair. Oh, I did?
Yeah.
You know what?
Why your desk chair?
She knew that I would
that
see
you'd be there. Yeah, Kayla does that too. She'll just leave stuff on my computer desk.
She shouldn't put it in my recliner because that's where I put my laundry. You know what annoys me is when over the years, especially now because I'm older and I'm always at risk of losing touch with just reality or pop culture in general. But even
I feel like we're more in.
Okay. Sometimes when I go to Snapchat stories, like the news portion of Snapchat,
you should delete Snapchat.
People, I agree. But
Luke still sends me Snapchat.
The only reason why I have Snapchat is that most girls on Tinder utilize Snapchat the most.
Okay, I get that. I get that. You know what? Luke sometimes just decides to like. The other day he DM'd me something. I'm like, you don't need to do this. We talk regularly.
Me and Luke don't talk ever, but he just sent me a Snapchat the other night about something. I don't remember what it was.
He's going ham on.
He was like washing his face or something, and I was like, "Why are you sending me that?"
I like it. I'm mad at him because he shaved. He's clean shaven now.
The other day, I saw him ask you, "Where's Ryan at?" It's like, do you not keep up with what's going on? I took the week off.
You should have been excited for Underoath.
I was.
Yeah.
I was. Anyway, back to my original point. Over the years, things just pop up, either celebrities or constructs just pop up out of nowhere and instantly become popular. I remember turning around one day and noticing that everyone had a Yeti hat on.
A Yeti hat? I've never noticed
Yes.
a Yeti hat. This is a Yeti cup right here.
I know. There was a week.
There's something special about them.
Exactly. You know why? Because it's a fucking cooler company. But everyone.
Coolers are nice.
I'm not saying they aren't.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed with the behavior when all of a sudden everyone was a massive fan of a cooler company.
Right.
Like it was Air Jordan.
People like the brands, dog.
It was frat guys. That's what it was. It was Yeti hats. They had the coolers for their keggers.
Kegerators.
I remember in high school when all of a sudden I came in and everyone had a North Face jacket. And I'm like,
I used to be down on North Face too.
Well, not only did everyone have a North Face jacket, everyone instantly knew what it was when I didn't. I was like, oh, was I supposed to get one too? Like, I don't even know.
Do you have a North Face jacket now?
No, I never.
See,
I don't wear jackets.
I was
You know that. When have I ever worn a jacket?
True. Maybe that's why our friendship is so disconnected.
Because I don't have a jacket?
Because I'm a big jacket guy.
When we go get a North Face right now, I'll go to Dick's. I'll pick up a North Face jacket.
So listen, I was out on North Face for a long time, and somebody got me a North Face jacket for Christmas, and I was like, well, North Face, blah. And I tried it on. They're pretty awesome. The problem with North Face is the standard, typical black North Face jacket is great, but Papa J can't wear that shit because I got white dogs. And those things, essentially the dog hair somehow sews itself into the jacket.
Yeah.
You don't have dogs, but there are some things that just forever will have dog hair on them now. Like blankets.
I had a white German Shepherd for like a decade.
Yeah.
I'm very aware, even before hanging out with you here at your house, I was very aware of how annoying it was.
I went through a phase here recently where I was like, you know what? I'm going to introduce more black into my wardrobe. I did away with black for obvious reasons. So I tried to reintroduce it. Kayla wears a lot of black, this and that. Bought these black jeans and like pure black jeans, like black as night. And the second I put them on,
Black Panther.
I just brushed up against something. I have these other black jeans that are faded and they do better, but these I just brushed up against something in my house, and it looked like I walked through it looked like I swam in a pool of dog hair just by touching one thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just not even worth it to get the fucking lint roller out.
This is not related to dog hair, but I don't wash my jeans anymore.
Yeah, never.
Yeah, you told me not to wash my jeans, right? So for the first couple of weeks wearing these jeans, I'd put my hands in my pocket and come out, my hands would be blue.
Yeah.
If you go look in my driver's seat, the seat of my car has turned navy.
Yep.
You didn't tell me about that. You didn't warn me that I would completely ruin my car seats.
That comes out. It comes out.
Does it?
Yeah, it can come out.
But I don't want to scrub it.
Yeah.
Now I have to clean my car.
Well, what's funny?
I don't clean my car.
Those jeans, they have been washed before. They've been treated before.
All right.
Before buying them. These that I have on do not. So if I were to take that rag over there that's sitting over there and just put water on it and just rub for like a second, it would be straight up blue.
I could probably pull that off with these.
Yeah.
If not now, it definitely would have happened as soon as I got them at Christmas time.
I'm coming up on needing to do a first soak on these.
Really?
I have to soak them in the tub for an hour, and then Josh Glancy, my buddy Josh, he told me just to leave them outside in the rain. that would do it, and I'm just like,
And your sidewalk would turn navy.
Yeah.
Cardi B is another example. I go to Snapchat News and I just see paparazzi following Cardi B. I have no idea who the fuck that is.
Yeah.
There are a lot of
Grammy nominated Cardi B.
Great. I couldn't tell you a single. I listen to top 40. I listen to pop radio all day at my job.
Right.
I couldn't tell you.
She makes money moves.
I just know nothing about Cardi B. There's a few other celebrities that are just always on Snapchat,
Yeah.
and I just have no idea who they are. I mean, that kind of happened when Luke Bryan. That also happens too. I don't know if our listeners can relate to this in any way, but there will be times when I open up Snapchat and every single female has posted that she bought some random country artist ticket. Like I'm supposed to know that this is the hottest artist ever. And then they obsess over them. And it's like, I still don't know who the fuck that is. I get really annoyed when that happens in my life. When everyone knows about something that I don't.
Do you just feel like you're getting older and more out of touch? And
you know what? You know what? It's not the age. Because if we wanted to play this game, I know about 100 more things.
Right.
Than all of these people do. So maybe it's the one time that I feel left out. Maybe that's what it is. It's not that I'm feeling my age. It's not that I'm feeling out of touch. I'm annoyed that they aren't paying attention to what I'm paying attention to. I want them to be talking about Atlanta and Underoath and Annihilation, but they're talking about Cardi B.
Well, I've always been a big proponent of the fact that the internet, it sort of has connected people in so many ways, and I think it's fantastic. But there's a theory, I don't know if it's necessarily a theory, I guess more of a hypothesis that states that the internet, because it's basically opened up everyone's world to new interests and this and that maybe they're not necessarily connecting as much, but they're finding new pockets and bubbles to retreat into. So we might stay over here while other people stay over there. Does that make sense? We have the ability to communicate with as many people as we can ever, but we're saying to ourselves, I'm okay in this corner of the world and the culture. And that can actually create an even greater divide because we're aware, for instance, we're aware of the movie fandom bubble. There are people out there that don't even know that exists. It's like that whole thing of like, if you didn't even know what math was, like to figure out 2 + 2 = 4, it's like would completely blow your mind.
I've thought about that a little bit more, especially when I film my movie reviews. I dropped a rating system. I just turn on the camera, and I just talk about the movie. And I'm actually purposely.
I thought you were saying you came up with a new rating system.
No, I stopped doing one.
I get it.
I'm just talking about the movie, because I realized that if I start rating these things, they'll go against each other. Like a movie that I really enjoy, but at the time I met on, like Ant-Man, for example. When I first reviewed Ant-Man on Film Beef, I gave it a C.
Mm-hmm.
But like Annihilation, I don't know what I rated it because I haven't rated it.
Yeah.
But I could give Annihilation a B+. Just be like, it was fine. But if you ask me what movie would you rather watch, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say Ant-Man.
Right.
So I feel like that can happen sometimes. So, because I'll give Ant-Man a C because it's middle of the road for Marvel, but when you look at movies in general, I enjoy Ant-Man, and I'm gonna watch Ant-Man over a lot of other things. So when you just compare movies like that, and they have that label on them, to me, it kind of feels like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So if I'm reviewing movies, and I put this into practice when I did a Mute review. Duncan Jones' latest movie. It's on Netflix right now. And then I reviewed Annihilation, both on YouTube. When I talked about the movies, I approached it as if I'm talking to random Joe on the street who asked me what they should go see in the theater.
Yeah.
And I'll just make comparisons to other movies. So when you and I were talking, and we'll talk about Annihilation a little bit, but we talked about the movies that it reminded us of.
Right.
I'm going to bring things like that up.
I get that.
In my movie reviews because I think that I feel like that's sort of a common foundation for people to discuss film.
Right.
Is it what other movie is it like? And that's how I will base my interest here.
Yeah, I get that. I get it 100%, especially because there are times when I will grade an album or something. Like, for instance, I gave the Sleeping Giant album an A+. It doesn't necessarily mean that I think it's perfect. I just didn't. I couldn't find anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed listening to it. But I don't remember what I gave. I don't even remember what I gave Plot New when we just reviewed it. But I gave it a lower grade for sure. I didn't give it an A+. But I think that's the better album. But it's better for what it is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I get that to a certain extent.
There's a lot of criteria, and I feel like
I like that it gives people a point of reference, but at the end of the day, when I give, it's funny, and I've said this before, when I give reviews, it is a point of reference for people, but the next day or the next week, I could feel completely different about it, which is why I like the whole idea of we talk about it all the time, updating your opinion on things. I think it's very important.
Well, it's kind of like, too, if I feel the way I feel about the movie Mute, and if I watch it a second time, I might still feel the same way, but like, it's kind of like, okay, maybe not Mute. Batman v Superman, the second time I watched it, I had the same feelings about the movie, but I was just able to enjoy it more just because I knew what it was.
Absolutely.
So the criteria is there. So the review is there, but it's the letter grade that might change based on that emotional experience. So by removing that, it just holds me less accountable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's all in how you view it, how much weight a reviewer puts on their grading system, and how much weight other people put on it. I've always said at the end of the day, the grade that I give things or whatever I rate things, it's always just my overall feel of it. Like with the Plot album, we went over that thing like crazy, and I want to talk about that review in a second, but we went over that like crazy. But at the end of it, I was just like, I'm just feeling this grade. That's what I'm feeling with it. We did that review. I don't know if people, I mentioned it in the Facebook group. I don't know if people realize it or not, but we don't do, and we haven't been on a podcast together since we did that, but we don't do a lot of videos together. That's like, might have been, I could probably count on two hands how many videos we've actually done together.
Did you enjoy it?
I thought it was really good. It's funny because it was literally the middle of the road between a podcast and a YouTube video. And I feel like people that stumbled upon that legitimately stumbled upon something that was unique. Like it was unique to other, at least in the music space, other reviews that go on. There are people that sit down with people and talk about stuff, but that video was actually edited like a YouTube video. A lot of jump cuts, a lot of, things pieced together to bring out whole thoughts.
But it was the discussion worthy of a podcast.
Yeah, I think we did like maybe 20 minutes on it.
Yeah.
Maybe closer to 30. And it was edited down to about 15 minutes, I think. So
I don't think there's anything that we do to where I wouldn't prefer having you or a co-host there. There's nothing that we do, or at least that I'm a part of. Yeah. That I think is better solo.
Right.
I mean, you might.
No, I agree. I mean, I think it's funny because especially when I did that Plot review, I thought to myself, I was just like, because when I do reviews on my own, man, I try to be so on, just like giving good information, make sure that the things that I'm saying are the way that I want to say them. But when you have a conversation, you don't really care, but yet the final product ends up being the same. So it's just like, it's like sometimes I forget that I edit the videos, Right. Do you feel that way sometimes when you do your movie reviews?
I get annoyed with myself filming videos.
Me too.
Because I'm holding that mic and it makes me feel like I'm casually talking, but based on my own preference, I'm trying to turn myself on. Right. To do a video. So I'm performing as if it's already an edited video review. And I get a little annoyed with myself because I stumble over my words all the time. Yeah. I have to shoot multiple takes, nearly every single section that I do. Whenever you see me a cut, I've probably done multiples of what you just saw. Right. And what ended up happening was I messed it up fumbling on a word. So I start over. And I get annoyed with myself because we don't run into that when we podcast. No. We don't have to. For some reason, when we're just sitting here back and forth talking, we don't have to worry about that so much.
Same thing with that Plot review. The only things that I took out were just things that didn't necessarily need to be in the review specifically. It was like expanding on certain points that just, maybe we went over it a little bit too long or this and that. And it was fine. And I think that's sort of the approach that I want to take more in the future. You know what's funny is I found myself doing that more already at one point I went from it was when I was doing my Path reviews. I set my phone up there on my shelf up here, and I stood up doing it.
Yeah.
And it felt so much better. Like, I liked standing up doing it, but there's a whole other myriad of issues that come with that from a technical perspective. Anyways, like lighting and depth of field and stuff like that. I don't know. The video was fun. The video review was fun. It was really good. I thought it turned out really well. It just, I don't know. It just felt good to do that.
I'm in love with my movie review thumbnails. Since this is the
I feel like we've hit a nice spot.
Yeah.
We didn't have a conversation about it, but we seem to be on the same page, and I like that.
Since this is the second time that we've recorded the intro to this show, let's go on and plug more of the music real quick, because I know you've been working hard on this. You did a preview for it on the YouTube channel. It's going to debut the day after this comes out, right?
Yeah, for sure. It comes out Tuesday, February 27th, the day after Sight and Sound Weekly, if you're listening to this on a Monday. The first episode's an hour long, and I'm really excited for people to hear it. Put in a ton of work. I mentioned this on the part that we cut out, but the second episode, it's done, it's finished. It's actually only 30 minutes, believe it or not, but it's still very, very good. The third episode is the Color Morale episode that you're going to be on with me. It's going to be a ton of fun too. This first season is only 4 episodes. If it gets a good response, I'll do more. But I'm excited to move on to other things and other ideas.
This is your scripted podcast. You profile an artist. You don't have to be a fan of said artist to enjoy Jay's show. It's very informative. He's going to teach you why you should know about this particular artist. And the first episode is on Bon Iver, which is something that you've spoke so often about on this podcast.
How dare you? I'm legitimately in love with
I know you are.
The man is my favorite living artist.
I can't wait to do the Color Morale episode with you, because I can't wait to hear it in general, not just because I'm a part of it, but since I am a part of it.
A crucial part of it, because the way, I guess just to give you a preview. Hang on, someone's yelling for me in the other room. Okay, I don't remember what we were talking about.
Me neither.
In fact, Kayla came home and she smashed her finger, and now I'm drinking wine. And the pizza place is closed.
You do have a wine glass. I finished my Red Bull, and it's raining cats and dogs outside.
You be careful going home.
I know.
Remember that time you spent the night here?
Oh, my God. Oh, you mean when my heart almost exploded because of the weed? I know.
He said it on air.
I've said it multiple times on air.
Well, okay. Let's talk about Underoath.
Okay. Let's do it.
So I want to... I wanted to make sure.
Sorry, you just threw me off because I didn't know if we were going to break, even though we had an actual break. So
no,
I'm ready. I'm ready regardless.
What I really wanted to do this week is pat myself on the back and celebrate about the fact that I kind of called it, kind of put my hat on to be like, I'm a music guy. And I can make these sort of predictions, except I can't fully do that because I don't remember exactly what my prediction was. All I remember is I said, I have a hunch that Underoath will 100% at least put out a single this year. But I think I also said I can't foresee an album.
I'm pretty sure I said they were going to record an album.
That was hopeful. Yeah, it was a hopeful thing.
And you brought me back a little bit and said, "No, wait a minute. Don't get too far ahead of yourself." Yeah. I thought it was the worst kept secret. They actually even said that at the beginning of their video.
You know what? Let's talk about that.
They said it at the beginning of their video. Well, let's explain what the video is before we do all that.
Let's just explain the whole thing.
I was going to say, we got to
let's pump the brakes a little bit.
We got to tear open the envelope here.
We need to address an issue. This band, if you do not know who this band is, if you are not aware of their importance, their significance, and all that, that's fine. I get it. But Underoath are not only probably one of the biggest post-hardcore bands of all time, they were pioneers of the music genre. They were they had an album, Define the Great Line, that debuted at number 2 on the Billboard charts. It had no business being there. Not speaking on its quality. It's a fantastic album, but for that band to be as abrasive as they are, and even honestly, their music is honestly relatively challenging. I would say they don't have bangers. Like, they don't have songs that are straight up radio rock crossover bangers. They ascended to the top of the Billboard, number 2 on the Billboard charts.
So, the album before Define the Great Line, They're Only Chasing Safety, it's pretty much responsible for creating the genre as we know it. It was the most mimicked sound in the history of post-hardcore.
Right. Really brought singing and screaming to the forefront. Of course, there have been bands that did it prior to them and this and that, but that
is very much a crossover album. I mean, that defined crossover album.
What's funny is it was, but it didn't have an initial pop. It was something that people picked up and discovered over time.
So Underoath matured, and they didn't even stick around with that sound that they invented, they created. They matured, as you said, as they move forward, album to album, they get a little bit more and more experimental with their sound, go a few different places.
Expansive.
Yeah. And, but yeah, there's no question. Underoath is probably the most. Underoath is the band that you don't want to say is your favorite band. Like, how I'm hesitant to be like, the best movie of all time is The Godfather because it's the answer that everybody has.
Right.
Underoath is the band that everyone credits for being an all-time great, but
they're also a band that I feel like people sort of turn their noses up towards around in the scene, in my opinion, specifically because of how popular they are.
Like a love to hate kind of band?
Yeah, to a certain extent.
Okay.
But from a critical perspective, what I will say is this band has less to do, like, I would never say they're the Metallica of the post-hardcore music genre. I would go so far to say is they're probably the Radiohead of the post-hardcore music genre.
I was going to use a sports metaphor. I don't know if this is right. Are they the New York Yankees? Are they the greatest of all time, but they're so big, in fact, that the band, not only is the bandwagon, there's like 2 existing bandwagons. The bandwagon of being a Yankees fan or bandwagoning hating the New York Yankees because of their success.
I would say they are the San Antonio Spurs because the Spurs have no business being.
The Spurs are boring.
Anybody's favorite team, but they are one of the best basketball teams. I think they're one of the most winningest sports teams
they are
ever, and it's all down to how technically and well put together they were.
What?
Because they're not a pretty team. You know what I'm saying? They're not a pretty team to like celebrate and this and that. They don't have a LeBron. They don't have a Steph Curry necessarily in the same way that Underoath doesn't have crazy, overwhelming hit singles. This is a band that does not have hit singles.
I think we failed on the sports metaphors.
No, listen, man. It's specifically, listen, Define the Great Line is their most celebrated album. There is no doubt about it. It is commercially that way and critically that way. That album is an artistic achievement. It's like if fucking Blade Runner 2049 actually topped actually made the money that Star Wars made.
If that was the case, Jay, then why did Luke Jaggers mess up the lyrics when posting in the Facebook group?
I'm telling you, man, they're not known for their singles. They're just not known for them.
Yeah, I know.
And their albums are challenging. This is a band that instead of what's that?
Did Lost in the Sound even have a song that you could consider a single? Like, at least Define the
They had a song that was on Guitar Hero.
Lost in the Sound?
Yeah.
At least, like, Define the Great Line had Writing on the Walls.
It actually, in my opinion, that album, Lost in the Sound of Separation, was the more accessible album of that and Define the Great Line, without a doubt.
Yeah, but that's also the most experimental, and that album gets.
See, I disagree. I don't think
pretty weird.
I think it's more rock and roll than
they do weird things on Lost in the Sound.
They make a few weird decisions, but they don't like. For instance, that I'm trying to take off a shirt while I'm also podcasting. and I'm doing it the worst way possible. Why am I doing it this way? So, Underoath are a band in the midst of all of these other bands that are similar to them and like them. And I said this, I did a couple retro reviews a while back for They're Only Chasing Safety and Define the Great Line. I need to do one for Lost in the Sound. The thing that people missed with this band when they were trying to copy them and this and that is they just sort of took aggression, singing, and screaming. But one of the things that make Underoath such a brilliant band when you really examine the finer details of them, one, they are incredible songwriters for a band that doesn't necessarily write standard songs. Like they don't write your typical pop structured songs. A lot of other bands in this genre do that. This is also a band that taps into a very eclectic group of inspiration. They're inspired by an eclectic group of bands. They've cited bands like The Refused, At the Drive-In, and ISIS as being huge influences of their music. And if you listen to their music, you can hear that. They're just a very, very special band for so many reasons. It's not often we can talk about a band that's this celebrated that also has a very, very artistically rich catalog as well.
So Underoath for me, and I think for you, starts at They're Only Chasing Safety, even though they had releases prior to that with a different vocalist named Dallas. But for me, Spencer comes on board, they do They're Only Chasing Safety. That's when Underoath starts. Those first 3 albums are awesome. Then their singer, their clean vocalist / drummer, Aaron Gillespie, left. And that's when we got Disambiguation. Is that the name of that album?
Yeah, Disambiguation. And just to throw a thing out there, the first time I ever heard about Underoath was via a music video DVD from a director named Darren Doan, and I heard When the Sun Sleeps, which was on the Changing of Times, the album prior to the album before They're Only Chasing Safety. And that song, I remember hearing that and being like, this band is fucking amazing. I can't wait to listen to more of them. And the rest of the album didn't sound anything like that song. So I was always anticipating more from them in the future.
Underoath had great DVDs. They had great studio DVDs, and then they had great live DVDs. I challenge every listener here, if you don't know anything about Underoath, look up their studio videos and then some of their live performances together. Both. Not just one or the other. Watch both. And I think you will gain some kind of appreciation, because I just really enjoyed watching them record, see how much work they actually put into it. They were also doing a lot of cool stuff too, things that I was particularly interested in because I was writing music at the time as well. So seeing them, I think it was Lost in the Sound when they would just take mics into hallways so that you recorded the echo into the mic, where instead of doing some kind of effect in post. And like they were doing all kinds of weird things, recording 2 drums at the same time, which was foreign to me at the time. I think it's interesting for people to kind of look in on that, not having any clue who Underoath actually is.
Yeah, I mean, this is a band, and we'll talk about it in a minute when we actually talk about this new album and whatnot. But they're a band, and I didn't realize this until sort of prepping what this conversation could be about. But their entire career is full of doing things that I have been critical of other bands needing to do, about doing more. They've constantly put out content for their fans to keep them entertained, to keep them enthused about stuff. They have these fun little... I remember when Lost in the Sound of Separation came out, there was like weird sort of marketing tactics and this and that they did, which were similar to how they did with this new album. Listen, for me, I fell off. My interest fell off of Underoath. I listened to Lost in the Sound, thought it was really good. They had some stuff going on behind the scenes that I was not too happy about.
Right.
Like from just like it made them kind of look bad as a band. And I was already on the outs of the music genre, and the music genre in general was incredibly oversaturated. So my personal heat meter for the band sort of dipped.
Right. So like I said, the drummer and clean vocalist Aaron Gillespie left, and his voice is crucial to that band. I mean, when you think of Underoath, Spencer and Aaron are like the celebrities. They are the MJ.
Now that he's back, he is the only original member of that band. Now that he's back in the band.
They're sort of like MJ and Pippen, if we want to keep these sports metaphors going. I mean, you can't have the 96 Bulls without one or the other. And he is back. But basically, he went away and they recorded this Disambiguation album. That's when I fell off. I was not interested in that album.
Yeah.
Spencer came out. There was like a drug problem as well. And
that was way before that. That was on Define the Great Line. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm mixing things. I was trying to think of what all happened behind the scenes.
Nothing happened behind the scenes. They disassociated themselves. They were a Christian band for many, many years, an iconic part of the Christian music scene. They disassociated themselves with being a Christian band, which I don't really care for one reason or another. There's a lot of crazy shit that happened, and that whole time, like they were putting together a DVD that got canned, but a scene from that DVD leaked where they were essentially talking about that they were milking the Christian music scene for all they were worth and this and that, and they were, sheep, and it just wasn't a good look,
right,
for the band at the time. And anyways, the band basically just went away, and they quote unquote broke up for like not that long, which also annoyed me. Their comeback annoyed the shit out of me because it seemed like, I don't know, it just seemed like this very interesting thing that happened. And, since they've come back, I've gone down memory lane with the band more than a handful of times. Have you seen them live before?
I have.
How many times have you seen them?
I think just once. It was at a Warped Tour. Okay. Actually.
Yeah, I've seen them a few times live. Great live band. And yeah, I mean, they came back and they did basically a reunion tour, but also a tour where they were celebrating They're Only Chasing Safety and Define the Great Line, where they were playing both albums from front to back on the exact same show, which is crazy. And it seemed like since they had gotten back together, they were just reinvigorated, doing a ton of press, doing a lot of podcasts, and talking about how it just felt great to be doing it again, and really enthused. And I always had a feeling that they were just back. I've had the feeling that they were completely back.
Yeah.
They did a massive tour, fucking huge tour with Bring Me the Horizon and Beartooth. Holy shit.
I think Eric and Ryan Ucci
yeah,
got to see that tour. And Anthony.
Really?
He's not in the Facebook group. They went to Atlanta to watch Underoath. I can't remember which tour it was, but it was when Aaron had come back to play with them live.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just seemed like things were on the up and up, and they've always been a band that loved to write music. Like they liked making albums, and I think one of the reasons they sort of probably went away to begin with was because they were a massive band. They were living the life of a massive band. They were touring nonstop. They were making music nonstop. And when you become a band that big, when you are such an iconic band of that magnitude, I think, and you're growing up too, right? So from the age of like 22 until now, and I think they're like 32 now, a whole decade, it can wear on you a little bit. So now, I guess it was Tuesday, maybe? I don't remember what day it was. Somebody on Reddit, this all came from Luke, so shout out to Luke for keeping his ear to the ground. Somebody on Reddit had received a blank CD. I'm sorry, it wasn't blank. It had a song clip on it of the song Erase Me. Of the song On My Teeth. And it said eraseme.io. If you went to the website, it was a countdown clock. He shared it on Reddit. People were speculating, what is this? Nobody picked up this news story except for some random blog. First, I went on a whole rant about this on my music show. First of all, how fucking dare you? All of music. Listen, I know the heat meter is not super high on the music genre, but this is a massive band.
Yes, it
is. It did something very important.
It's a massive story.
How fucking dare you? And I guarantee you, if something happens with this band and something, they'll just be talking about them like, oh, we've been on this the whole time. Anyways, you hear this news. I didn't talk to you hardly about this hardly at all. When you heard this news that there was a potential album coming out, well, actually, we just thought it was going to be a song, but then it leaked online that they were going to announce an album. What was your take on this whole thing?
I cringed, actually.
Okay. Because out of fear? We'll talk about Fear
I
in a
was
second.
I have PTSD from this whole Seos and shit. I was so
Good
weary.
point. Comeback albums have not been great.
I was excited for that,
They've
and
always
it
been
let
okay.
me down tremendously. And you gotta wonder.
It didn't let you down because it was bad. It let you down, and correct me if I'm wrong. It didn't let you down because it was bad. It let you down because it wasn't. It was nothing. It was nothing. There was nothing special about it.
It's not good.
Yeah,
It's not good. There's one part of a song that I like from that album.
so many examples of bands making their comebacks that have just been really kind of lackluster. The Glassjaw album that came out last year, at the Drive-Ins album for me wasn't that great. The Refused album wasn't that great. Even Thrice's last album, it has good songs on it, but I don't think it's very good.
Well, just think about how we've been talking about this genre ever since we've been doing this podcast. Few bands get it. Bring Me the Horizon is sort of an anomaly because they've been around for a long time, but they knew that they had to mature. They're
pushing things forward.
They knew that they had to evolve, and they are setting trends. So the next example of a band doing that is The Plot in You. Like,
there's other bands, but yeah.
But when you go from Bring Me the Horizon and then Plot in you're drawing names out of a hat at that point because that's just a random band.
They're all outliers. Nobody's
right.
Like very few people are carrying the torch to make massive shifts.
So So I naturally was worried about Underoath. Are they going to be able to fit in? I was cringing a little bit.
But to be fair, they were the band who did it to begin with.
And I know. I give Underoath all the credit in the world. Like, I love those 3 albums that we talked about. And people even say, even though I don't agree, Brave the Storm sounds like Underoath. So apparently I've taken their sound and used it and put my own twist on it. But I'm not taking anything away from them. But it was sort of like, it felt like, you know, how it's like when some old sitcom says that they're going to do a reunion season or whatever. It's like,
just getting the band back together.
Is that really what you want to do? That it's not often that you're able to pull that off.
Right.
It wasn't until the song came out, and I didn't even listen to it right away.
Let's not talk about the song yet.
Okay.
Okay. I do want to, just because we're on this topic, I do want to talk a little bit about worry. Because I, too, was a little bit worried. If I'm being honest, this band, they don't owe anybody anything. They are definitely a band that can do whatever they want. And they don't necessarily need to push the genre forward. But that's all their trajectory has done over the years. However, the things that do make me a little bit weary is, one, that they could just think that, like, we don't need to try to break our backs to make anything crazy. Let's just cash a check, potentially. One, and we'll talk about this in a second. It's a banger song, but I do not want a Radio Rock Underoath album. And the other thing I'll say is Spencer, the lead vocalist, and Aaron, the drummer, they're like best friends. They love being rock stars. They love it. If you go to their Instagram right now, you will see what I mean.
Yeah.
And that worries me a little bit, especially because their projects outside of Underoath, Aaron drumming for Paramore, Aaron doing the Almost, which was like a pop rock sort of band, Sleepwave, which was sort of a radio rock, alternative rock band from Spencer. Also a little bit worried about that as well. So I was worried, but we get the song, On My Teeth. Your reaction?
The song was released. I did not run to listen to it by any means. I think I sat on it a little while. I think
I had the bug.
You had posted
mainly because Luke was fucking lighting me up.
I saw you all talking about it, and I saw it was posted inside the Facebook group. I let a lot of time go by before I decided to sit down and actually.
Did you read people's comments on it?
So I wasn't. Hold on.
Okay.
Yes, I did, but I didn't know. Apparently, there was some other video that got taken down. So I was a little bit confused. Was I wrong? I was
It leaked. The song leaked
okay.
before.
So I was confused about. I was confused if the comments that I read applied to the song. That
How
I heard.
shitty is that? Even when the genre isn't like super crazy popular, like Drake albums won't leak, Kanye albums won't leak, Frank Ocean albums won't leak, but the genre that's not that's sitting on frigid cold heat meter, their song they can't even do this. They can't even get this whole song release thing right.
Yeah. So. I sat on it. Eventually got to it. I love the song.
Yeah. It's a really fucking good song.
Underoath, On My Teeth. The video is up now on YouTube. We just watched it again. I like it a lot. And here's my direct reaction. And I said this to you earlier in the week. It feels like it doesn't feel like they're mimicking the sounds.
No, not
Bring
at
Me
all.
the Horizon, Plotting You. It feels like that they have created something that fits in with where the genre is headed right now.
Yes, agreed.
It's a sensible evolution for Underoath.
Agreed.
Like I like that this is what Underoath sounds like right now.
A lot more they've always had electronics in their music.
Yeah.
It seems like that's a focal point in this song.
Spencer might be the best he's ever sounded.
Agreed.
His clean vocals sound a lot like Cove Reaper, who I'm a fan of, from Seosin.
His vocals are more diverse than they've been before too.
And
Aaron splashed in there as well on the backing vocals. Yeah,
he is very subtle.
I still want more.
I don't want people to mistake. I am not saying this is a giant leap forward.
Yes.
Even without all the time in between, it feels like it's one step forward. It's not a massive leap. It's not. They're not pioneering anything.
Yes.
It feels like a progression, but not a leap by any means. I'm still calling it one step forward, if that makes sense.
I essentially agree with every single thing that you just said. I think you're right. It sounds on board with the more cutting edge sound that's coming out of this music genre right now. I also agree with you in the sense where the song people aren't gonna turn it on and be like, my life has changed with post-hardcore music. It's not going to influence anybody. It might influence more people because it sounds like other artists that are doing similar things.
Yeah.
But here's my personal take. I am not hanging my hat. I'm not putting my stock into Underoath to bring the genre back. I don't think they're the band to do that. I think they are a part. They have a part to play. I told you this off air, and I think I might have mentioned it somewhere else too, but Underoath themselves can't bring a genre back into prominence. They can't raise the heat meter. Neither can Bring Me the Horizon. Neither can Architects or Plotting You. They can't do it on their own. However, if all of these bands are releasing albums this year, if this genre can have the type of year that all of the rest of music had in 2016, where it was just huge artists after huge artists after huge artists, which resulted in the biggest year of album sales to happen in like a decade, that will mean everything to this genre. So we've already got Plotting You. We're about to get Underoath. I don't know about Bring Me the Horizon. Architects are unconfirmed. We're going to get a new Thrice album this year. Those are all heavy, heavy hitters.
Right.
I mean, and if all of those bands can deliver this year, it will mean so much. The song is still, even though it is a banger song, it has this huge, epic, anthemic chorus in it. It is still challenging. The drumming on the song is so fucking intense.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like it sounds like a Converge song. Like
Aaron is a really fun drummer.
He's a really good drummer. He plays so hard. And the electronics sound really good. The guitars seem a little bit buried, but that's fine. The electronics are in the forefront, and the entire melody of the song is driven by like a synth bass or just like a distorted buzzy bass sound. They say fuck in it, which means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. But people are talking about it because this band was a Christian band at one point. Your thoughts when you heard that?
They claimed to be Christian. Right. Their music wasn't ever
right.
Praise Almighty God.
It wasn't like overtly.
It wasn't hymnal. It wasn't like they just claimed Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, but it was not written into their music. They might have written in maybe a motif or two or a lyric, but they did not praise God or anything like that in the lyrics. So, to me,
you could have listened to the band a million times and never would have known.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, to me, it means nothing that Color Morale did the same thing. Right. Color Morale, they were a Christian band. They claimed Christianity, wrote about it a little bit, but they weren't a gospel hymnal band.
Linkin Park didn't cuss on their first album.
And No Hope came out, and then he's cussing and talking about how he's lost his faith and everything else.
Did he cuss on No Hope?
Yeah.
What did he say on No Hope?
I can't remember right now.
Okay. We'll talk about it on More Than Music.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe I made it up. But he talked about losing his faith. And it was a very public thing. So it's like, I don't care. I mean, I guess that there are people that do care.
I haven't seen that many people talking about it, to be fair. Like, I know Aaron Gillespie tweeted about it, and
it just, to me, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just not a big deal. However, I will say this. They knew what they were doing, and guys, because I know Underoath that are listening to this right now, we get it, okay? Luke said, I'm just gonna poke fun at him. Luke said, it was a statement. And I said, no, the statement was when they literally put out a press release announcing that they weren't a Christian band anymore. Like, we get it. Like, when they do interviews now, I think they were on Bad Christian Podcasts.
Were they?
Oh, yeah, they're still on there. They come on there and stuff, and they'll come on there, and he's like, hey, how you doing? It's like, oh, I'm doing pretty fucking great. It's like, but we get it. We get it. It's fine.
That's funny. That's great.
We know you're not a Christian band anymore.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Yeah. Not a fan of the color scheme, not a fan of the album artwork. Video is great.
I think they did. That's one of those things I look at it. They had to have decided on that because it looks nothing like anything else. Like, what other band is using that color scheme or art? Like you said, I just think it looks so strikingly unique that's why they pulled that out. You know,
you think we're getting an Ollie Sykes feature? They don't really do a lot of features.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not a big thing in the music.
I was gonna say, I don't know. Have they ever done that?
The singer of Copeland sang on a song. With them.
Aaron Marsh.
Yeah, the last song on "They're Only Chasing Safety." Yeah, I don't really have anything else. I'm excited. I think, like I said, I said this on
when's the album come out?
April. Yeah, early April, very soon.
Yeah.
I said this on the music episode, but I'm going all in on. I'm putting a lot of stock in the genre to make a comeback, and
I hope so.
I think you're going to be hearing a lot more about it this year, at least on Sight and Sound. And listen, I get that it's not everybody's cup of tea. I get it has elements in the genre that will turn a lot of people off, and I understand that. But all I ask is just keep an open mind to it, and at least maybe listen to us talk about it. Because listen, one of the reasons this is such a big deal and this is so fascinating is because this music genre was the last music genre bubble that the major record industry had. Like, I know that's crazy to say, but post-hardcore, screamo, metalcore, all that stuff, emo, it was the last big music genre boom because you had music genres like dubstep that was sort of independent. A lot of those artists were doing their own thing. A lot of this rap and hip hop stuff, they're in another landscape. So the last like grunge movement, the last new wave movement was post-hardcore music.
Definitely.
So it's a big deal. You got anything else?
No. I mean, I'll take the opportunity to plug the Facebook group because there are people in there that are learning about this genre. I wrote up a little thing very quickly, how you examine screaming vocals, because I think that's the one thing that turns people off of this music the most. So if you're curious, you can join the Facebook group. The link is in the description down below. Not only can you be a part of all of these kinds of conversations about this musical genre, but you can also find the doc that I wrote up inside that page, and it might be a little bit more informative on this music, on just the whole genre in general, and how you might listen to this.
Do you have a video coming soon? Some sort of like crossover bands, like a starter pack of...
I have all of that
right
on the forefront. I'm trying to figure out the best way to go about that kind of thing, because I don't want it to be just a thing that I could have made a Spotify playlist for. I want to make sure
you need to do a top 10 video. Of like,
I just want to make sure that I have the appropriate. I want to figure out the best avenue and format for that. So
good stuff. All right, let's take a break because I think I left my e-cigarette, my vape, in the other room, and I'm having anxiety now. So nicotine addiction is real. We'll be right back. Have you ever listened along with Sight and Sound and thought to yourself, man, I would love to have these types of conversations with other like-minded individuals? Well, there's a place for that. Head over to Facebook and be sure to join the Sight and Sound Facebook group. It was started by our listeners to share their thoughts and opinions, react and comment on episodes and topics brought up on episodes. You can even interact with Ryan and myself. It is a fantastic community that we are proud of, and we think you should join it. We've even made it easy for you. Check out the link in the description box of this podcast and get involved with the Sight and Sound Facebook group today.
Yeah. So not only is it very rare that you and I record videos together, because we were talking about recording the plot and you on the intro, they didn't make the actual cut. It's also
we talked about that on the one that did. Yeah.
Did it make the cut?
Yeah.
Did it make the ultimate edition of this week's?
Yeah. We also got a confirmation of Kayla's real thoughts on the God's Plan video. Actually, we didn't talk about that.
That didn't make the original cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting confused.
She doesn't like it.
Now we're confusing our audience. It's also rare that you and I get to see movies together. And this
very rare.
This happens spontaneously too.
Very.
Very spontaneous. I didn't know that I was going to have...
You changed your plans.
Kind of. I knew that I was going to see Annihilation last night. I thought I was going to go to a later show, but you happened to hit me up and say you were going to the 7:55. And then I thought, well, I could just do that too.
Yeah.
It's funny because...
I thought you were mad at me because I got my tickets.
No, I wasn't mad at you. I was mad that I didn't think of it. So what happened was you told me that you were going to the 7:55, but when you told me that, I guess I didn't assume right away that you had pre-ordered them.
I didn't know until recently that movie theater that we went to did Fandango now, because for a while they didn't do Fandango.
It's not true. As long as I can remember, they're part of Fandango. The one that wasn't for a long time. Well, Frankfurt definitely isn't, but the Shelbyville Theater isn't.
Oh,
that might be the Regal you're thinking of. But where was I?
That wasn't RPX we saw it in, was it?
No.
Okay.
So
we'll talk about that.
So you told me 7:55. I didn't know that meant you pre-ordered the tickets. I thought you just chose what time you were going to go to the theater. This was a Friday night that we're talking about. It's the second week for Black Panther, Annihilation. Game night also came out. I knew that I wanted to use my Movie Pass, but you can't pre-order your tickets with Movie Pass. You just have to go and use it as your payment.
Did you use Movie Pass?
I did.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That's exciting.
I've been using Movie Pass.
I know, but I only go to IMAX films.
Right.
Now.
So
I'm a snob.
So I knew that I was going to use Movie Pass, so I just showed up on a Friday night thinking that this unsuspecting science fiction picture, there's no way it's going to be sold out. So I get there before you were stuck in traffic, and there are 5 seats available in the very front row, and there's one single seat in the second row that's available. And I panicked because I thought you were going to have to sit in row A.
Yeah.
So I called you. Jay, there's only 5 seats available. What are we going to do? Snelling, I've already got my tickets. So I rushed back in line.
I had the tickets that I wanted. I got to sit on the end.
Oh, yeah.
So I can go to the bathroom.
I rushed back in line because it was busy. It was Grand Central Station. Friday night. Please tell me that B seat is open. Yes. Okay. B3. I show up. I look at the row. Seats B1, 2, and 3 are filled. Someone is sitting in B3. There is a single seat B4.
Right. I thought you were going to say you went to sit down and Phil Wilson was sitting next to you.
No. So I panicked because my seat was obviously taken, but there was a lone seat right next to it. So I could not figure out for the life of me why that would be the case.
You could have looked up and sat in D1 and D2 because that's where I was.
Right. It just didn't make any sense why. So I thought I was sitting in someone else's seat. I thought someone was going to tap me on the shoulder as soon as the movie got started. Never ended up happening. But the second row, it was painful. I had to turn my neck a particular way, sat there for 2 hours. But I knew. I didn't see you, but I knew that you were there. And technically, we saw the movie together. Now, I reviewed the movie. It's up on the YouTube channel right now. The link is in this description. If you haven't already subscribed to the Sight and Sound YouTube channel, Jay and I have talked about this at the IHOP, but I do want to get your take.
Where we talk about movies.
Right. I do want to get your take on Annihilation right here, right now. Let's discuss.
Well, let me tell you my theater going experience.
Okay.
This is the first movie I haven't seen in IMAX or RPX or whatever in years. Let that sink in. In years. There's a reason why.
Did we see Fantastic Beasts in
maybe
RPX?
That was years ago. That was like 2 years ago. Was it not?
It's fall of 2016. It's a year and a half ago.
So I'm not going back. I thought it was too dark. I thought the movie looked bad, but not the movie's fault. Not the movie specifically its fault. We're going to talk about the movie-going experience and why I could watch it on my television. Well, first of all, I wouldn't have to deal with that bullshit that you dealt with. And also, the movie wouldn't look like complete doo-doo.
Normally I would roll my eyes at this. For me, it takes more than one experience to just proclaim I'm never going to a theater again.
I'm not going to roll the dice.
It could have been that specific theater. It could have been
the theater. I'm going to go to IMAX. I'm going to go to RPX. I'm going to go to
That's what I'm saying.
XD. Yeah.
The screening.
Right.
The screening room. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying all of Hamburg Regal.
Right.
I'm saying that it could have been that particular theater. It could have been the bulb on the projector. There could have been a million factors as to why that wasn't the ideal experience.
Not going to roll a dice. It was dull looking.
You're out of your
colors.
mind.
The colors weren't popping. It was a crisp picture.
I can't even argue because of where I was seated. I don't know. I can't argue because I don't know what the movie looked like.
Kayla agreed.
Okay.
Anyways, listen, I thought I was really anticipating this movie. Just to get it out there, #transparency. I still haven't seen Black Panther yet. So it was between this movie and Black Panther, and I chose this one because it was a combination of things. It was because I think Alex Garland is an incredibly intriguing and exciting director. I thought I love the premise of the movie. I'd done some research on sort of the premise of the book, the Southern Reach trilogy. And I just thought it looked really good. It looked like a combination of like Predator and Alien and all this stuff. And I don't know. I just thought it looked super awesome. And then some of the reviews came out and I knew that the reviews were, I don't even think mixed is the right word because it wasn't mixed. It just people had initially people had a similar sort of take on the film. The third act was a little bit confusing, maybe not even necessarily confusing. It just
polarizing,
very polarizing. But then after that, since those initial reviews, I saw some other people reviewing it. People are loving this film. I did not love this film. In fact, I walked out of the theater thinking an A-. The further away from the theater I got, the more it just started going downhill, like my review of this movie. One thing that I don't want to hear one motherfucker say, not one person, please refrain from using the term, "Oh, you probably just didn't get it." There's nothing more patronizing and more shitty on this earth than saying something like that. I get it. I wasn't confused by the ending at all. I get some things are interpretive and this and that. There's a lot of things to explore. I thought the story here, I thought the narrative here it could have been a lot better. Some of the characters were very dull and bland. Even some of you had pointed out to me, and I agree, the acting in the movie was just very lackluster. I feel like, all around, honestly. Natalie Portman did fine, I think, but she was surrounded by a cast that wasn't, in my opinion, giving her a lot to work with.
Right. So, sort of what I said in the review, the backbone of what makes a movie work in general isn't really there, right? So that involves the character development, your attachment to the characters, and the acting. For something that's so high concept, it's a very thin story.
Yeah. And
the reason why something like Aliens works is because you have the characters, or Predator. You have with Predator, there's the one central focus,
right?
Hunt this one thing down. Whereas there's not a particular goal in place that the audience is aware of, right? Like we know that this team is being sent in to explore and investigate, and we're learning things as they do, but we don't know what the end goal is supposed to be. We don't know what we want. That's why, like, we'll talk about the third act, because I don't know what else that third act could have been, which is kind of funny to say that in contrast to what I was just saying.
Well, let me throw this out there. So if I had to give one overarching statement to the movie about what I thought about it, it would be missed opportunity. Because I think I love the concept. I love the idea. I love the mystery boxes that it was showing to us. That's very fun. It's fun to explore this place. You know, that's all very, very exciting. But you can't just lean on that.
Right.
And I felt like they spent so much time celebrating all of that when they finally tried to bring it home, they just didn't know where to go with it. And in fact, where they went with it was, in my opinion, my personal opinion, and yes, I know there's people out there that will want to debate what it's about and get very analytical with it. But to me, it kind of just came across as a little lazy. Like it came across as just like, we're just going to make this very obscure. And it's just like, I like that from time to time when movies have to earn that right. And for me, it didn't earn the right to be very open to interpretation sort of ending.
The genre stuff really, really works.
Yes,
so
agreed.
The science fiction, I'll do minor spoilers here. I'm telling you, I'm not going to ruin the film, but I am going to tell you a little bit more than what the trailer tells you. So the concept, how the shimmer acts when people are inside of it, how it changes you. That was really, really great. I liked it. I also liked how it was represented visually. All of that worked really well. Then when the movie wants to go horror, when the movie wants to scare you and give you some fear, that worked really, really well. There's some creature work. I think people know that there are some like animals and crazy shit going on inside of it. All of that was done really well. I said it again. There's one particular creature at a nighttime setting. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's a nighttime setting inside of a house. 9 times out of 10, a movie tries to pull off what this scene pulls off. It fails completely.
Yeah.
It could have come across as silly. This movie kills it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of the scariest scenes of the entire movie.
I give that whole scene just a 10 out of 10. I mean,
yeah,
not only because it was done so well, but some of the things and the decisions that they made inside of that scene were so interesting.
Yeah,
and I love how that played out, and that's all credit to, I think, Alex Garland, just for putting something like that together. That man knows how to create different types of tension.
Yeah.
And that whole scene was filled with tension of different types, just layers of tension. And yeah,
another scene. The scene that's uncovered inside the camcorder is another example of that. Just something that I was like wincing, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it, but it was like really freaking me out. I thought that was done really well. So also just the CG, the visuals of everything, the visuals and the genre work, but it's everything else is very, very thin.
Yeah.
And I think when you compare it again, you talk about how, at least for me, it reminded me of Arrival. The tone of the trailer reminded me of the Arrival, and I'm thinking a lot about these really notable science fiction movies that have come out the past few years. Something like Arrival, Interstellar. They all seem to have. It's not unique to have echoes, a controversial third act.
Yeah. And there's I mean, even beyond that, there are many echoes between all of those movies.
Sunshine as well, which is another Alex Garland wrote Sunshine for Danny Boyle.
Some sort of group observing something of the unknown, and they have to go into it. And
even Prometheus is kind of like that. So it's not. I'm not a stranger to a polarizing third act. This third act
lost.
This third act didn't bother me.
It didn't bother me.
I thought it was fine. It was sort of like, I in a fun way. I was like, okay, what is this?
Yeah,
like I was kind of smirking a little bit, like trying to follow along. I was thinking about, I would say is this really happening? Am I seeing what I'm seeing? It was a little bit of that. And it was kind of fun to witness the third act. And I'm not going to spoil it, but
I would say the film is probably at its most beautiful in the third act. There are certain things that take place there. And my issue with the third act of the film sits with how certain things looked. Certain decisions that were made in that regard, especially after the fact, and I'll touch on that in a second. Also, I know we sort of disagreed about this, but I just felt like certain things were sort of rushed a little bit to get to that point. It didn't take its time with certain things that I wanted to see more of, and I get it. It's already a 2-hour movie. Listen, you want to know what's disappointing? Is I went and I read the synopsis of the book. They didn't just take liberties with this. It's completely different. And the book, they kind of fucked up because the book sounds awesome.
Oh, really?
And it went in a completely different direction.
So what do they take from the book? Just the idea of the shimmer in general? Is that pretty much it?
No, a lot of things are taken from the book, but very, very, very specific cues within the narrative itself just are completely different.
Someone
like that entire third act is just completely made up.
So someone said on Twitter, it's not like Alex Garland did an adaptation of the book. He did an interpretation of the
and that's
book.
fair. I get that and I like that. Just wasn't completely on board with it.
I should say his reaction to having read the book.
Right.
So more of that. A sort of a response to the book is the better way.
And I think some of the thing, it's also kind of clear to me, some of the criticisms and pros that I'm saying about this movie, they're there to see. If you look at just how much time was spent doing the slow burn sort of exploratory stuff there, but then you look and see kind of how quickly things were wrapped up at the end, it's just like, it seems like Alex Garland he had rose, no pun intended, rose-tinted glasses on for the idea of what this movie was going to be. I also found this out. I didn't know that there was a lot of stuff behind the scenes that went wrong. Studio involvement. The studio wanted to get involved with the film, changing some things, a lot of back and forth between how some things were going down. Ultimately, the producer ended up fighting for Alex Garland, and the cut of the movie that he wanted to came out, but what he had to sacrifice was that the studio wanted to send it directly to Netflix, and they did the whole thing with the international.
Gotcha.
But at one point, they were going to scrap the theater release altogether and just send it to...
It's weird. It's saying that the Forbes report on the box office. For one, Black Panther is just going to kill, and that's just the reality of it.
Right.
But Game Night's doing well, and it's edging out over Annihilation, which I think everyone could have predicted. But it just surprised me that Annihilation was packed full last night. So yeah, that's surprising. It's Annihilation stumbles is the headline. But again, that's also the Friday reports. We're recording this on Saturday. I don't know how it's going to do Sunday. But and of course it's all relative to the budget. So it might still end up being fine. I'm curious to see how it does. I'm not the biggest fan of this movie, but I do applaud the fact that it was made. And I applaud the fact that Paramount had the balls to put this out. Absolutely. I even saw a trailer for A Quiet Place at the beginning that got me excited for that kind of film again. Another Paramount release. So I'm just, if you wanted specific examples, by the way, we brought up the acting. I thought Jennifer Jason Leigh was actually terrible. Like, I did not think she was good. Tessa Thompson's completely wasted in her role. I liked Gina Rodriguez getting this opportunity. But I thought her character was kind of thin. I wish there was a little bit more from her as well. And, you know, Oscar Isaac was playing a role that he had his place.
The Domhnall Gleeson could have played.
He had his character had its place. I'm just disappointed I didn't get more Oscar Isaac. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I can't use that to criticize the film because that character did what it needed to do.
It's your personal one.
It's just the fact that since you cast Oscar Isaac, I would like to see more of that. And plus, there were flashbacks scattered throughout, so it's not like he was completely absent from the film. It's just when I think about all these other notable science fiction movies that come out, and I don't think it's just going to be as lasting as something like The Interstellar, The Martian, Gravity, Ex Machina. Like,
I think Alex Garland is an incredibly exciting director, as I said earlier on. I think what he probably needs is I don't know the team around him specifically that he's surrounding himself with, but it seems like to me there are some things that he may need to come to play ball with. I think if he wants to get more obviously he likes sci-fi. He likes very high concept films as well. We've had the absolute pleasure of seeing what Denis Villeneuve can do with not only high concept sci-fi, but also big budgets as well, bigger budgets.
Right.
And I think if he can play ball a little bit more and make films that, I don't know, I don't really know the best way to put this, but I feel like he will be able to make even better films in the future if he can sort of come to terms with certain things.
This wasn't his Blade Runner 2049.
Not at all. It wasn't even his
in
Arrival.
The way that Ex Machina, fuck. There's a game called Deus Ex.
Deus Ex,
whatever. Ex Machina was my favorite movie that year.
Right.
Tied with Creed in 2015. Arrival was my favorite movie of 2016. So
Blade Runner was my favorite movie of 2017.
You compare those two movies. You want, if Denis Villeneuve is going to put out 2049, you're hoping that this is Alex Garland's 2049. If you want to make those direct comparisons, and it just wasn't that.
Well, I just always thought that Alex Garland was sort of next in line to be the next Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a great comparison. Well, so when you put it up, when you compare those movies, it just makes it seem like this.
It's almost like he needs to do his Prisoners. You know what I mean? Like his.
Well, he's been in the game longer, so maybe he has done his Prisoners. A lot of people are saying that this is sort of just another Sunshine, which is something that he's already done. People find that curious.
You know what's funny? I'm just now realizing about all of his movies is that a lot of people are high on them, and I'm just kind of fine with all of them. Like, I like Ex Machina. I think that's of those three movies. And I don't know what else he's done outside of that. Ex Machina is the best one.
Well, he hasn't directed anymore other than Ex Machina and Annihilation.
So Sunshine, I was kind of whatever on. I was like, this is a cool movie, but that's sort of where it ends. I never need to see it again. I never need to talk about it again. Never need to think about it ever again.
He wrote Never Let Me Go with Andrew Garfield. I remember seeing that at Blockbuster, but I don't think I've seen it. He wrote that. I wonder if that's a high concept, because I knew it was a romantic movie. The lives of three friends from their early school days into young adulthood when the reality of the world they live in comes knocking. What? Is that even written correctly? Okay, that doesn't sound like a high concept. But he wrote The Beach 28 Days Later.
He wrote The Beach?
Yeah,
The
with Leo.
Beach is a fucking great movie.
He wrote The Beach 28 Days Later and Sunshine. Never Let Me Go. Dread. And the original screenplay for the Halo movie.
Of all the things that you've listed, and obviously that I know outside of that, I think The Beach might have been the best thing he's ever been involved with. I don't
think I've seen it.
Is it a Danny Boyle movie?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite of all this stuff.
So,
Tilda Swinton.
People, I think science fiction fans were high on this weekend because you got Duncan Jones' Mute and Annihilation, and I'm just not that big of a fan of both. I do like Annihilation more than Mute. Mute is the greater disappointment. Duncan Jones, I would compare Duncan Jones to like a Neil Blomkamp more than I would an Alex Garland. Like, I feel like they are in the same school of director.
Yeah.
Duncan Jones and Neil Blomkamp. But it was supposed to be a great weekend for sci-fi, and to me it was just kind of
Let me ask you this. Mute, Annihilation, or Altered Carbon? Or Counterpart. Which one do you go with?
You just listed those in reverse order.
So Counterpart 1, Altered Carbon 2?
You just went from worst
Annihilation
to best.
and then Mute. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I think it's fine. I think it's cool that this movie came out and it didn't necessarily live up to my expectations. That's what happens. You know, they can all be the BFG. So.
I thought the opening of the film was really good. Like, even through like the police chase scene in the ambulance.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I thought all of that was great. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was really high. Yeah, I was high on the movie for a long time.
You know what I thought was stupid in retrospect? It just doesn't make any sense at all.
What's that?
When the team first goes into the shimmer, there's a shot. All of them file in. It cuts to her waking up in the tent, and they've lost 3 days without any memory.
Right.
There's 0 point to that. Not only
to introduce that, is that what you're saying?
Yes, because it doesn't change the narrative in any way. There's not another instance of it happening. We already had some kind of understanding that time is not relative inside of it.
Yeah.
And so
the only thing I can come to terms with that is it was literally a built-in safety net for the potential pacing issues of the movie, where it's like how I said that things seemed rushed. Oh, maybe that happened more than we're led to believe.
That's how I think people view the things
reality
that J.J. Abrams and Damon Lindelof do. Like, to me, that is an example of raising a question without answering it.
Right.
That is what I think people see that all the time when it comes to Damon and JJ, when I don't, but that's an example of something that I have a problem with, because it meant nothing at all. There was no explanation to it. It wasn't even necessary or needed. You could lift it right out and it doesn't change the narrative in any way, because the movie is still about the journey. There's not another instance of that happening.
Right. There's also some things that happen in the movie that are a little too on the nose for me, of like, oh, this is clearly something that we want you to speculate about. Like those fucking tattoos. Those tattoos, in my opinion, that is lame. Like, it's really fucking lame.
Someone commented on my review today talking about,
like, it's like, oh, what do you think the tattoo means? It's like, I don't know, but we all know that you didn't address that specifically so that people would talk about it. It's a fucking tattoo that's on their arms that's not there to begin with. Did you see it? Yeah, I saw it. I noticed it.
Is that the tattoo that Oscar Isaac has?
No, it's the I don't think he ever had it in the movie. Multiple people showed up with the tattoo, but did not have it.
I thought he
earlier
had
on
the
in the movie.
tattoo in the kitchen at the beginning.
I don't remember if he did specifically or not, but yeah.
I'm sure we could find that on the internet somewhere, but we're too lazy.
Yeah,
And
for
we
sure.
probably don't care enough to look it up anyway.
Yeah, I don't need to speculate about
It
this
won't
movie.
change our opinion on
No.
the film. But yeah, I think we're just both meh on Annihilation.
This is just another Blade Runner. Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. Things that people are going to tell me I should give a shit about, and I just don't.
So let's preview season 2 of Atlanta.
Are you excited about it?
Yes.
Me too. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Well, let's take a second. In the early days of Sight and Sound, we were super high.
You mean last year?
Year and a half. We clarified. Fall of 2016.
Oh,
year and a half ago.
The last time when I saw a movie in a standard theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were super high on Atlanta. Donald Glover was the Sight and Sound MVP. I almost said mascot, but that might be racist.
I want to make a t-shirt that says Sight and Sound, aka Donald Glover Fan Club. Why did you make that face?
We love Atlanta, season 1, quite a bit. How much have you rewatched season 1? For those of you who don't know, the entire first season of Atlanta is on Hulu, and it's 8 episodes, and each one is 25 to 30 minutes. It's the length of a sitcom.
It is so digestible, it's not even funny.
You can breeze through this.
Yeah.
You have plenty of time to catch up on season 1 of Atlanta. It's absurd. It's very much Donald Glover's David
Peaks.
Lynch Twin Peaks. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to get to.
I couldn't remember David Lynch's name the other day.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's well
great.
made.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Definitely watch season 1 because we're going to be talking about season 2.
I've rewatched it multiple times, like over and over and over again, completely out of order because order doesn't matter.
It does
in the
not
show.
matter. Yeah, the continuity of the show doesn't matter. It's very likely that Jay and I discuss every single episode of Atlanta within every episode of Sight and Sound Weekly, whether Atlanta is a
down with
notable
it.
topic or not. We're probably going to react to Atlanta in every single
Because
episode.
it's that type of show. Where
is.
It's the type of show where you go to work the next day and you quote a scene or you talk about that crazy absurd thing that happened in the show. And one thing that I do like about this season, they're calling it Robbing season. And it's kind of cool that, first of all, not a lot is out about this season. It's weird for us to talk about because there's not a whole lot to speculate about because the show is...
It's not like that.
Yeah,
And
it's
it doesn't
very
need to be.
nonsensical.
It doesn't aspire to be that.
Exactly. And it's still amazing. And
It's still a topic of conversation, even though it doesn't work like any other TV show works.
But I think it is interesting that they're sort of throwing this. I've seen a few interviews of Donald Glover talking about the show, and I think even Lakeith Stanfield and some other people, but talking about how there is this sort of shadow that's looming over the season, this whole concept of Robin season. Are you familiar with what it is?
Remind me.
It's essentially the period, the time frame, like before Christmas, when people are trying to get more money. I think that's right. Where they're trying to get more money, so they're like robbing people, and selling stuff and this and that. It's just a very like weird and crazy time. And people will get boxes delivered to them from Amazon. People just come up and steal it right off their doorstep.
For one, that's funny that there's a whole premise surrounding the season. Is again another reason why it's completely unique. It has a sort of colon subtitle to it. It was also kind of like Game of Thrones. I remember reacting to.
What a weird take. I'm interested to hear you say why.
It lit a fire in 2016. And it won all the awards.
Yes.
It was the show, Andy Greenwald mentioned it on The Watch. It's the show that every showrunner wishes that they were making right now. It's the show that every network in the business, like it's an actual conversation. It's the show that every network wishes that they had.
Yeah.
It reminded me, people were reacting to Atlanta season 2 being postponed in the way that they're reacting to Game of Thrones, the final season being postponed. A lot of people were disappointed that we didn't get season 2 in 2017.
Yeah.
Because he was filming Star Wars. And so he just came out and said, look, I'm not going to be able to do season 2 of Atlanta. And a lot of people were really disappointed with that.
We got a lot of stuff out of that, though. We got, Lakeith Stanfield and so many things. He was in, obviously, Death Note, and he was
he was also in, did you know he's in War Machine? That Brad Pitt movie on Netflix?
He was everywhere
last
year.
Get Out.
He had just as impressive of a year as like Donald Glover did himself.
You still need to watch him in Short Term 12, by the way, on Hulu. It's available now.
And Death Note.
Death Note's not good.
I'm joking.
I was fine with it when I watched it.
Yeah.
But the more that I think about it, it's not a good movie. But I remember
What is it? Annihilation?
I remember feeling like the world was ending when we didn't get season 2 in 2017.
It was my favorite show that year.
Yeah. So that's why it reminds me of Game of Thrones.
It's so much fun.
We were so spoiled. We couldn't stand having it be off our televisions for over a year.
We haven't really gotten to talk much about it on Sight and Sound because I think when we started Sight and Sound, it was like the tail end of it, and I think we got to talk a little bit about it. A little bit about it when we were celebrating, our end of the year stuff. But I don't know, man. It's just like it's going to be. How many episodes are we getting in this season? Do you know?
I don't remember.
I don't know either.
It's got to be 8 to 10.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to be so much fun to be able to watch this show collectively with our Facebook group and our listeners and this and that. And I don't know, man. The year will be better. And honestly, I think TV kind of needs this. We haven't had a lot of shows other than Netflix shows that we're really collectively watching, I think.
Are we still on Versace?
Yeah, I think Versace.
Oh, you are?
Versace's great, except I haven't watched this past week's episode. In fact, I might watch it when you leave. But then I also need to watch the Michael B. Jordan on Hot Ones. Anyways,
how did I watch that before you?
I was waiting for Kayla.
Event television.
I mean,
Hot Ones.
Listen, right now, Friday Night Lights, the alumni are having a great time. You've got, what's his name in that Waco show? What's his
Taylor
name?
Kitsch.
Taylor Kitsch. You've got Michael B. Jordan doing great things with Black Panther and starting Creed 2. We've got Jesse Plemons apparently stealing the show in Game Night.
Kyle Chandler.
And Kyle Chandler as well. And then I don't know what everybody else is doing.
Adrienne Palicki still, I think she's still on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Who's that?
Tyra?
She wasn't my favorite person. Her character changed like 4 times in the show.
She literally murdered a guy.
I know, and then they were just like, that's not a thing anymore. And honestly, that's not even spoiler alert because as much as I love that show, season 2 is legitimately awful of that show. Like they just retconned it. They were like, nothing that happened in this season takes place in this universe anymore. Anyways,
back to the original point.
Atlanta.
The other point I was making. It's funny that there's a concept around season 2.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if that's going to be lasting. I don't even. I bet that maybe the first episode of the season
can we just
focuses on that idea because when I remember when it was first coming out, and the idea was it felt like Entourage. It felt like the Black Entourage.
That's what I want to ask you real quick. Let's just remind people what we thought this show was going to be.
Well, when we hear about the synopsis, it's Donald Glover's character is cousins with a local rapper in Atlanta, and Paperboy, and he convinces him. He convinces him to let him represent him and help his rap career.
Right,
and that's the basis of the pilot only. Not that Paperboy isn't a rapper throughout, but it's not.
All of those things still play into the show, but it's not the focal point.
But it's just hijinks. Or
there are whole episodes when they don't even feature some of those people.
Right. Some episodes are just hijinks that these characters are experiencing, and the others are pure social commentary. Like when Paperboy appears on Local Access on that news show. Just pure.
That already is a classic episode.
Yes.
Already.
Yes.
First favorite episodes. Just like a few of your favorite episodes from the first season.
I really favor the nightclub scene
That's my absolute favorite.
Only because of that laugh out loud moment at the Everything involving the invisible car in that episode is so laugh out loud hysterical to me.
The hidden door in the wall of the club is so absurd.
It's awesome. Awesome episode.
They're the episode where they go to the party. I forget what it's actually called.
Like the dinner party?
With the dinner party with the guy who's essentially like I don't know. He's what?
I don't know what you're getting at.
I was trying to think of a word and I can't remember exactly.
Why are you having
what
a hard
the word
time
is.
with this?
I don't know because it's late. It's the episode that we got the Childish Gambino album cover in.
Right. That's the finale. Isn't it the finale?
No, it's the second to last episode.
Okay.
The finale wasn't that great of the show. Also, the Justin Bieber episode is also fantastic, a classic, and that Cable Access episode is a classic as well.
They're all good.
And the one where that's like primarily centered around Zazie Beetz going to dinner with her friend. And that's like the episode. I think Donald Glover is in that whole episode for like a second. She calls him on the phone. That's it.
And she's going to be Domino in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
So.
All these people having just fantastic careers. We're looking forward to it. I hope you guys watch it along with us. It's going to be the second show. I'm not going to be able to watch it the night that it comes on. I have to watch it the next day.
Oh, no.
Because I'm going to have to buy it on, I'm going to have to buy the season pass.
Jay.
On iTunes.
Okay.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's the third show. I'll have to do that too. Actually, it's the fourth because Caleb bought Alienist on TNT.
Is it good?
Don't
it's
know.
TNT.
Haven't watched it.
Okay.
Outlander though. Still check. She is now already on the second time watching the entire season, and she's also reading the books. She's obsessed with it.
There's no way it's that good.
I would categorize, and I think she would agree with this. It's like if Game of Thrones was a romance novel. That's what it is, but it's on TV.
Where can the people find you?
You can find me at Jaye Williams, J to the A to the Y to the E on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same for both. Make sure you guys are checking out more of the music. It comes out, if you're listening to this on a Monday, it comes out tomorrow, February 27th. Check it out. It's going to be cool, I guess, if that's what you want. Also just try. I don't like forcing people to do things. You don't have to do anything. Also,
that's correct.
Just dropped new Separator EP called Room to Grow. It's good stuff. Carl and I, we might get together and do like a bonus music episode. I don't know, shooting the shit, talking about some stuff. Ryan, where can people find you?
As far as I know, I'm back. So you can expect me to do another movie episode this week, maybe another movie commentary this coming weekend. I'll have to pick out the movie, join the Sight and Sound Facebook group, or follow me on Twitter at WhatUpSnell. That way you get the heads up. I'm going to pick a movie that's available on a popular streaming service, and I'll do a commentary. There are some freaks out there that are watching these movies for the first time, and I'm whispering in their ear, I think you're crazy if you do that, but I love you. Also Instagram at WhatUpSnell. I greatly appreciate it. Check out all the links to everything in the description of this podcast. That's it.
For all you Patreon people out there, you can hear the first 30 minutes of this episode that we cut out by checking out the exclusive Patreon feed in the next few months, I guess. I don't know. When are we doing Patreon?
I don't know.
Other people Patreon needs to relax and needs to take a chill pill for a minute so that we can get ours up and going.
I need to come up with the script for the video, or the outline of the video.
Yeah. So, all right. I love you guys. We'll see you on the next one.
All right.
Bye-bye.